Hi, my name is Gaby Piccirilli. I am the founder and creator of RPT Health, Regenerative Pathway Therapy, and I am so excited to be here. Just do right. Just do right. Might not be the most expedient thing to do or the most profitable thing to do in this moment, but I promise you it will feed your soul. Just do right.
In this episode of Brave Talks, I'm chatting with my girlfriend, Gaby Piccirilli, and we're having a passionate and inspiring discussion about the precious healing power of connection. Gaby is the founder of RPT Health and the creator of Regenerative Pathway Therapy. She's a peak performance specialist and a certified physical, emotional, and mindset therapist. Her deepest passion is freeing others from suffering, and in this conversation, she and I pinpoint the small healing steps we can take every day to honor our own worthiness. Welcome to Brave Talks. I'm so happy that we're finally able to put this together and talk about healing specifically through connection. So the first thing I wanted to introduce was how we met. I'm kind of nervous because I hate one of my weaknesses is like I fear being wrong. But the beauty is there is no wrong, and that it's just the things that we remember, right?
Was that before or after I reached out about your marathon, after your marathon, that I wanted to rub your feet? Because I realized we lived in the same building.
Just so you know, guys, she's not kidding. You tell your version of the story first.
Okay, I will. Okay, so here it goes. So I started following Emily Nolan, and I thought, wow, she's so interesting. And I love her authenticity, and I love that she's so natural, so transparent. She's on walks every day. Wait a minute, she's running in my community. I think this wonderful soul lives in my building. So she ran a marathon in Miami, and I decided, well, I'm going to send her a note, a DM through Instagram, putting this offer out there. If you're interested, if your feet are sore, I know because I've run a marathon myself. If your feet are sore and you need somebody to rub them, it's my specialty. I'm a certified reflexologist, and I'd love to help you. And sure enough, Emily takes up my offer and comes over for a reflexology session.
Who wouldn't take up that offer?
And here we are, we live in the same building, and there's so many lessons for me and I think for your audience that they could take from this story. Because look, I went out on a limb, I sent a DM, I was following her, I knew that we resonated on many levels, and that what she was doing was so beautiful, and I wanted to help her. I truly wanted to help her after her marathon, and I just wanted to talk to somebody who I thought was like me, to form a community, especially in a new place. I had only been living in Miami for a short while at that time, and so I thought, wow, if I could meet somebody so fantastic who does all these things that I love as well, how great would that be?
Yeah.
And that's how it went, and that's how the journey started, and here we are, so many years later.
For me, time is kind of an abstract painting, and I can't ever put it together linearly. But then we saw each other in a pizza restaurant. We were at Lucali in South Beach, and you came up to me and you were like, my friend was there too. And she was like, who is that? And I was like, that's actually this girl that just wrote me like not too long ago wanting to connect. And then you and Frank came over, and I think we prayed over dinner together, like said a blessing. And I was like, come on and join in. Like we're like giving our gratefulness for this abundance and this meal. And you're like, I can do this. This is my jam. We had a spiritual friendship immediately.
Yes, totally. And actually, as you mentioned this, I remember that, you see, there's this part of our brain called the RAS, which is the reticular activation system, and it's like when you notice something, then it seems like it's all over. Like, have you ever noticed like a type of car on the road for the first time, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, these cars are everywhere? Well, that's just because now you're paying attention. And so once I started following you, I just want to add this in because I think it's really important, is I started seeing you in the community a lot. And prior to that, I never saw you. We never ran into each other. And I remember this vivid sort of moment where you were having breakfast at another place right in South Beach by our building. And I remember you were there with a group of ladies, and you were also praying over your food, and you said a little blessing before you started your meal. And I thought, gosh, you don't see that a lot. And that's what we do as well. We just say a little prayer of thanks for the meal that we're about to enjoy. And I thought, if someone takes the time to set this ritual and to share it with their friends, that's someone really special. And so I just wanted to mention that, I felt like, well, there's something a little deeper that I really need to explore about this person.
Yeah, and also something deeper that you were probably interested in exploring in yourself because, you're seeing your reflection in me. To me, when I see that reflection in other people, when I say that, I mean bravery and courage to pause and give thanks and to acknowledge and to see and to hear. I feel grounded. I feel inspired. I feel moved. I feel human. And culturally, we live in this fast paced life where we don't give pause to the holy in the every moment, right? It exists now and it exists now and now and now, right? And it's not just when you go to church or it's not just religious. It's a collective experience.
Totally. And I think that also the awareness of, which leads me to this sort of thought about what we're going to talk about today is healing through connection, is the awareness that you have of what is going on in the now. I love to do this little exercise where before I start any kind of session with anybody, we stop and we just notice what we notice. 5 things about your environment, about where you are right now. And you could do this as you're listening to this, as you're watching. Just look around and pay attention and just feel your body, feel where you are, the room, the smell, the environment. And if you could just mentally even just note 5 things that you can notice right now, that already puts you in a state of the now.
Last night we were talking about connection. We were chatting. I was actually on a walk outside in nature because that's where I draw some of my biggest sources of presence and connection. And we were talking about connection when I started working with you and when you started working with my body. I had been through liposuction in 16 different places of my body, a lot of damage I had caused, not just emotionally, but physically also. And it's connected, it's all related. And you had been working on allowing myself and my feelings to reconnect with my physical earth suit. And you were, poking my stomach where I had numbness from liposuction. And this is like years after the actual procedure. There was still that lingering numbness of, emotionally, I had saged it out of me, like gone on many, many retreats. But physically, there was still this lingering trauma that manifested itself in my body. And so, what you were doing was the actual physical and emotional reconnection of that, which is really fascinating. So, if you want to talk about some of your work, I'm sure the listeners are interested in hearing about what you do.
Definitely. So I formed RPT Health, which is my own take. It's my own method. It stands for Regenerative Pathway Therapy, and my whole philosophy is that there are pathways in our life, and they are physical. So I started actually with the central nervous system. That's where I really gained a lot of experience, but also I was fascinated by the neural connections in our body because it's the most fundamental part of our body, and it also allows us, it's what keeps us alive. It's like the lights in your home, it's the wiring of your home, it's what keeps everything in motion. And I was really fascinated with that, and so I came across a doctor in Poland who was developing and who had actually refined this incredible therapy called clavy therapy. And I just felt it in my in my soul that I needed to travel to Poland to learn this therapy. And fortunately, I speak Polish, so I was able um, to be his student and to learn under him. And it's been now 14 years that I've been practicing Gaby therapy. But as I was sort of developing my own practice and really getting to know Gaby therapy, it's a super intricate type of therapy. It is like acupuncture. It works on the actual nerve receptors on the surface of your skin. So if you can imagine your skin, your entire body, wherever there is skin, which is your whole body, there are points that can activate the internal system. And so, if you have a scar or if you have any trauma to the surface of your skin, to the actual skin, there will be some kind of reaction that happens internally. And look, you can continue living. It's not that it's life threatening or anything. However, that that connection in that place, in that tiny little place, does somehow affect the overall body. And that is my work. It's super precise. It's fascinating because as you start to activate with these sharp little pencils that never will enter the skin, they never rupture the skin. But as you start to activate the nerves, they start to also activate certain emotions in your body. And this is how energy works. We are energy, and this is not woo woo. This is real. This is how we are constructed. And so as you start to open the energy channels of your central nervous system, certain things start to happen. And so I became really fascinated with all of this. And as I started to gain more experience, I realized quickly that we are much more than our physical body, that there is a lot more to the story than just what presents to the human eye. And I started incorporating all of these other factors and elements that could affect your overall experience in your earth suit, but also on this planet, on this in your life. And RPT Health is sort of that all encompassing, holistic approach to treating you and your body and how you live your life, really. And so today, we thought, well, we'll talk about connection and healing and how it's related and how we can heal through connection. And I think that the first type of connection we need to establish really is the connection with ourselves, because we cannot possibly heal on a deeper level if we are not connected to our own experience, to our own body, to our own energy. And we are all miracles in motion. We really are. Regardless of your past, of your experience, of whatever happened to you in your life, you're still here and you're listening and you're with us right now. That means that your life is a blessing. You were blessed with this life and this miracle. And this is really where RPT sort of was born, out of this idea that we are much more than our physical experience. There is an element of connection to our creator, whether you want to call it God or source or whatever it is that you believe in. That is your truth, and that there is something to be said about a higher energy, a higher source. And we need to find connection first to ourselves and then something greater than ourselves. And this is why when I was so connected to Emily right away, because that was my first experience really of seeing someone practice this idea of connection to herself, her food, her friends, the table, the environment, her creator that allowed this abundance to flow. And I thought that was so inspiring. And that's what really connected us.
Mm-hmm. And to elaborate too on that, I've been thinking a lot about how we consider the truth to be standing in our light and embracing the divine, and a powerful moment of shedding a layer and revealing ourselves. And yet, standing in our truth is also looking at the unsavory parts of ourselves and saying, this too is true. Here I am, drunk as a skunk because I'm numb to life and I can't take what my life is like right now. I want to run away. I'm whatever it is, I'm doing something so painful because I can't feel anymore and I'm so numb. I just need to feel something. So I'm going to reach for more pain. That too is truth. That too is radical self acceptance to say, I'm in this moment of truth and I can still accept myself exactly where I am. And I'm still worth it. I'm still a miracle. I'm still worth living for. I'm still worth choosing this moment for. So, we focus so much on like the positive psychology of the truth and of storytelling and of transformation. But I'm willing to bet that even more transformation happens when we accept the parts of ourselves that aren't so Pinterest worthy, aren't so picture perfect. And for me, when I hit moments that feel, and I shouldn't have to feel rock bottom, I shouldn't have to feel burnout to get to these points. But when I met you, I didn't have my period. I was undernourished. I was going through self-doubt with my body image and still having these things manifest in my body. And yet I could radically accept that this was the moment I was in. I'm working towards something greater. I'm working in believing in myself and choosing myself and seeing the value of myself. I appreciate, like you're so kind to say, you inspire me because, you embrace the moment and you devoured every morsel of beauty and tragedy at the same time, and that's life, right? Like we think God and the divine is so picture perfect and like Jesus on a cross. And to some people, that is God and the divine, the resurrection and whatever it is that you believe in. But it's the five things that you notice in this very moment that you're talking about. It's the mother who feels emotionally numb. It's also the starved teenage girl. It's the girl that goes into plastic surgery and risks her life to try and look like this girl she saw on Instagram. It's the overworked, the underpaid, it's everything. It's everything. And so that idea of radical self-acceptance is so powerful because it's something, like you said yesterday, none of us need $1 to do that. We don't need a 7-day retreat program to look at ourselves in the mirror or see our reflection in everything and to say, you're worth it.
Gosh, I mean, yes, so much yes. But just adding to that is that even in your darkest moments, I just want you to know this because I've lived through this and I'm speaking from experience. When you think everything is falling apart, you will know that in a few years, and you will feel this, and I can say this from experience, and this is why I know this to be true. I know this to be true, is that those moments are your blessings. They truly, truly are. So when I met you and I saw you at the table and I was inspired by that, I knew, and this is just being honest because we're all living life and life goes up and it goes down and it goes sideways. And to stop and just to make the time, regardless of how you were feeling in that moment, you might have felt like, crawling under the table and just staying there, but you rose up and you said, no, in this moment, I need to feel grateful because that will put me in a state of grace. And just stop for a second and say, hold on, everything might be going sideways right now and I don't feel like it, but there is still something that I can give thanks for. The extent of your suffering, and I believe this because this really applies to me, the extent of your suffering is also equally proportionate to the extent of your gifts and what you have to offer. Meaning, if you've gone through some traumatic event in your life, that is also as much goodness that you have on the opposite side of the scale to give, to offer this world.
I haven't told this story yet. It's very fresh, but there's a recent moment when I just experiencing complete burnout for me. Everybody is feeling this during the pandemic, but I was sitting on a couch across from my mom, watching my son play on a play mat. And I just looked at her and I was like, sometimes I look at Oliver and I search for love in that feeling and I don't feel anything. And she was like, that's not okay. And that moment, though, of connection with my mom and exposing how I felt without shame or judgment, not because I, was feeling guilty about the feeling, but because I was truly emotionally numb. I mean, it takes a lot of numbness to admit that feeling of apathy towards your own child, and burnout and rock bottom. And what she did for me in that day or two, we had gone back and forth, and I was like, look, I need to get a hotel room and get some space so that I can have some distance to see. I didn't even know what I needed, but I knew I needed space. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know I was going to be here talking to you about the same story that happened a week ago or whatever. But what she did for me was, she said, what days do you want to go to the hotel? And I gave her a few dates. And she said, okay, I'm going to have to take vacation from her work to ensure that I could come here and she could watch Oliver because Matt's out of town. The first thing I did was, no, don't take vacation. It's really okay. It's fine. And in my heart, I was like, fuck, like I'm back at stage -1,000. Here I am devaluing myself again, saying I'm not worth my mom's 2 vacation days. And I don't believe in myself. I'm not worth that. Whatever that is, whether it's a financial deficit, whether it's the time deficit for her, and it was just so painfully beautiful, the whole moment that unwound itself, because I was able to see really poignantly that I am worth it, and that I've been in this negative, cycle of self-talk that I'll just be the one to bear the brunt of everything and sacrifice everything, which, life is not without sacrifice. We all do that, and it's a part of life, and it can be beautiful and it can be painful also, and I radically accept that as well. But when you get to the point of apathy and emotional burnout and numbness, something's got to give. And it shouldn't be your soul and your spirit, and it shouldn't be disconnection, or you shouldn't have to give your connection up with yourself. That's the one sacred thing that we have. And so like I had given that up, and I needed that dark rock bottom. And I feel that the truth is safe to express in this container and on our show, because I'm sure how many of us feel that way and are afraid to admit it. And, I wrote this morning to one of my friends in an email, as artist, as, I consider you an artist, right? You're a healer, you're a witch, you're a medicine woman. We strive so hard to mirror the perfection of the divine, whether it's nature or beauty and, we're kind of all doomed because nobody can truly touch the perfection of the divine. And yet we all strive, and we all do touch it. We touch the pulse every time we access it through love. We reconnect through love, and we touch the divine, whether it's through painting, music, dance, writing, words, all of the things that connect us when we are connected to ourselves, to others, with love. And love is the only thing that can heal us, and belief that we are worth it, even in our darkest moments, especially in our burnout, especially when we're drunk or when we're high or when we're numb.
Amen. Yes. Yes. And the other thing is, this came to me as you were telling the story about your mom. By receiving her love, by receiving her willingness to come and help you, when you receive a gift like that, because that is a gift, you bless the giver. You truly bless the giver, because look at the experience that you are now giving to your mom, the time that she can experience with Ollie. And they're forming connections and bonds and love together. So self-love for yourself as a mom is so very important. And I know I'm not a mom myself, but I treat a lot of mothers, new mothers, and I just feel that there's this sense of guilt around, taking that time away from your children to take care of yourself. And I feel that there's so much false, emotion around that, because in order for you to be your best self and be the best mom that you can be, connected to yourself and therefore connected to your family, your child, You need to start with yourself. You need to take this time, this sacred time. And look, now we have the time to have this conversation together. Ollie gets the chance to be with his grandma, to connect with her. Everyone benefits, really.
Yeah, and that can be said for just being a woman in general. You don't have to be a mother to have this experience of, you know, of basically like self-sacrifice, and you're going through the same things. It's all the same and it's not all the same.
Exactly, exactly. The idea is the same, that we really need to come back to our home, ourselves, in order to be of any kind of service to our communities, to our families, to our friends, anybody that surrounds us, to your business even.
Yeah, your purpose. So how do we do that?
There's many ways, but I want to offer some really easy, inexpensive, immediate ways that you can elevate yourself, your environment now. And that is, just as we started this podcast, is first of all, you need to be in your awareness. You need to notice what you can notice. And so by being aware, you're going to stop and just notice 5 things around you that you are so grateful for. And just notice the color of the walls, your skin. When was the last time you gave thanks to your pinky finger, for example? I mean, how different would life be without your digits, without your thumb, your ear, you know? Um, and so that's the first thing, is just noticing your environment. And now I want to bring your intention to that environment, because I feel that what we surround ourselves with really creates the stage for how we can heal ourselves and the depth of our healing. I always say that you cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. And so I want you to look around and say, is there some opportunity for me to declutter, to organize, to move something around? Maybe I haven't, even tidied up or cleaned in a while. And all of that matters, because when you wake up in the morning and you open the windows and you let the light in and you do your bed, that in itself is a little ritual that you can implement immediately, that will help set the tone for your day, that will help connect you to your environment. When your environment is tidy, it is scientifically proven, it's not, made up, but it is proven that your brain relaxes. Because remember, we are wired, our brain is a very old system, and it's constantly looking for things that might harm us, right? It's a protective mechanism, really. When the environment is disorganized and there is a lot of disarray in your surrounding, your brain is looking through all of those things and analyzing it constantly to make sure that, a snake doesn't pop up from behind your couch, for example. I mean, that's an extreme example, but it's how our brains are just wired. That's what it does without us even knowing it. And so when there is order and there is a sense of peace and calm in your environment, your brain also relaxes, and it works at a different frequency. It works less a little bit. It's more aware that there is a sense of security and protection in the environment, essentially. And that's a very sort of basic way of explaining this, but overall, this is important. Waking up in the morning and having this small win that you can say, you know what, I just did my bed. I just honored the place that I rested in for the last 9 or 10 hours, however long you've spent in your bed. I honor that place. That's the place that I rest and I rejuvenate, which is why rest for me and sleep is really important also when I treat people. But the place that you rest in, why not organize it? Why not set it up for the following night, that when you come there, you say, wow, I've got this amazing, beautifully made bed ready for me. I honor myself in that way. So those are just very simple sort of things that we can do right now. If there's something that you don't love that's surrounding you, clothes that don't fit anymore, or books perhaps that you've read that you don't really read anymore, donate them, pass them along. There's somebody waiting to read that book, to use those clothes. There's a purpose that someone else can really, take advantage of and benefit from, and you get to move that energy out of your space.
I think another way that I can find, not I think, I know for a fact, that healing through connection, we spoke about grounding and, earthing and taking our shoes off and walking the earth. And there's so many things that we can do to remind us of our truth and that we are alive. And sometimes we need something as jolting as a friend inviting you to pray with them, to say something of gratitude, right? Because we don't want to, make someone feel like they're contained by a religion when, we are all connected, um, or something as jolting and exciting as yesterday I had a picnic with my girlfriend and I just kept complimenting her because she was incredible, the journey she's been through, and bringing to light all of these experiences. Like, wow, I can't believe you did this for your daughter and for your family, and you're incredible. And just a compliment bouquet, delivering that to her was a gift for me and also for her. And I think that sometimes when we can be brave enough to express, to first of all be brave enough to listen and to hear the things that aren't being said, to hear the pauses between notes and the story between words, and then to express that back to someone in a way that they haven't heard themselves, but to show them a picture of their life in a different way. First of all, that's human nature. And I think we're conditioned not to access that vulnerability because we are afraid. We're afraid to access that beautiful, powerful emotion of connection. And why is that? Why do we put fences up around our property? Why do we wear this armor?
I think you said it. It's the fear of being judged and ultimately of not being loved. And when you feel that you are loved and you are enough just the way you are, you feel connection. And so, in order to feel that, we do all these things in order for us to connect on some level with society, with a group of people, whether it's whatever it is that sort of relates to you. But it's in order to feel those things and not feel the opposite. But I think the most beautiful thing about being human and being alive is this connection between humans, between us. That's what keeps our soul alive. And this is why I love to connect. And maybe there are things that we do agree on, and maybe there are things that we are not, but that's okay because we all are allowed to feel what we feel. What a boring world this would be if we all thought the same thing.
One of the things that I have been really intrigued with, especially after leaving my modeling career, being seen. So I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a granddaughter, I'm all of these things, right? And how do I fit into the narrative of life comfortably where I don't disrupt anyone else? I just want to be that perfect puzzle piece in the center that's like, there you go. Like, you fit right in. Many times in my life, I've lived to try and be that comfortable narrative for everyone else. I love my husband, but even for my husband, how do I fit into the picture where I can make his life easier and maybe I lose my identity because I'm afraid that I might make my husband look bad or his family look bad, or I might fit out of I might not even be a part of this puzzle, but I still love the puzzle and I still want to be, part of the world, and it's all connected. So anyway, back to this idea of being seen. What connection you can create by looking people in the eyes and seeing your reflection in others, by verbally connecting with others and saying hello, whether it's somebody working on the telephone pole outside or if it's, somebody at the cafe with the dog next to them or whatever it is. And to be seen, to allow yourself to be seen is such a huge part of healing through connection, because we're opening up the pathways.
Connection, community, having different opinions, but still living in harmony. And I could not agree more. As a matter of fact, when you connect with people through eye contact, through a little smile, through a little gesture, you allow them and you give them permission to also form a connection with themselves, with you, and with the other people that they will then go on to meet.
Yeah. And connecting to that truth of yourself and meeting yourself where you're at. You don't have to be Gandhi or some enlightened being to connect with someone. In fact, I think being the raw version of yourself and being the real version of yourself allows others to have the same experience. What a beautiful gift we can give just by being ourselves. Let me ask you a question. Let's just say new mom leaves her job and has a career and a passion, has a child. This could relate to anyone. Somebody leaves this huge career path and passion for something else or for space and time or reflection. And then they're like, oh shit, I have a gap, in my resume, or I have this space and now I'm no longer relevant. How does a person like that reclaim their gift or find it? I asked one of my friends the other day, I said, Viktor Frankl in Yes to Life says, don't ask yourself what the meaning of life is. Ask yourself, what does life expect from me? And so I asked her, I said, what does life expect from you? And she was kind of in this experience that I'm talking about. And she's like, honestly, I don't know.
Well, that's okay too, because that I don't know is just the time that you need to find or take the time to connect back to yourself so that you can find out, because there is something for everybody in life. There really is. And I feel that if you don't experience something, or if you don't try something, or if you don't reflect on what you've been going through yourself, maybe the story that you are living in right now, just like you told the story about you having a breakdown and your mom having to step in, and you're in this hotel room right now and we're having a conversation. Like, look where that all led you. It's the same pattern. It's the same cycle for all of us. We all have these, if we had to like chart it out, it's like you start at the bottom, you're lost, you have no idea. You're a mom, you've got a college education, you thought you love banking, for example, or whatever it is that you're educated in or have previous experience in, and now it's like you're not connected to that anymore. You don't love it, but you have a child. Wonderful. That's a gift. So now you go through this cycle and you say, I'm so burnt out. I am at the bottom. I feel like I've hit rock bottom. And now what? And I'm completely lost. Well, what happened? People stepped in to help. Your mom stepped in to help you with Ollie. Number one, are you accepting of people's help? How teachable are you? How moldable are you? Or are you resistant to change? Those are questions you need to ask yourself and really reflect and journal. Write it all out. Write down those 3 questions for yourself and say, do I have a problem with accepting help? Because if you do, then look, you said yes, please come and help. Okay, it might not have been your first reaction, but you did accept the help, right? And now you're here and we're having this conversation. And from this conversation, we're able to expand on our gifts and to share with the world what it is that I do, what it is that you do, in the hopes that we can serve and help other people find their truth and find their connection. And I love, sort of, just to wrap this all up and tie it with a really nice bow, but I really love the fact that I was just inspired by Maya Angelou. She just, I was listening to her right before this, and whatever your soul calls you to do, and you might not know it, what it is right now, but when you find out what it is that you are destined to do, where your bliss is, when you follow your bliss, just do right. Just do right. It might not be the most expedient thing to do or the most profitable thing to do in this moment, but I promise you it will feed your soul. Just do right.
Oh, just do right. I'm going to put that above my desk. Okay, so are you ready for rapid fire?
Yes, I am.
All right. Something most people don't know about you.
That I am a helicopter pilot in training.
So cool. And also this morning you told me something I never knew about you, which was
Well, I speak 5 languages and I think really in Italian. So sometimes when I stumble, when I speak English, it's probably because I'm translating into English.
that's so crazy. Is Italian your first language?
Well, they were both. Like Italian and Polish were my first languages because my mom is Polish, my dad's Italian. So
And what about Frank?
Frank's first language was Italian.
So when you guys make love, do you speak Italian to each other?
No English.
Making love language is English?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, come on, everyone's dying to know. Oh God. Can you segue into the next question here? Can you describe healing in 3 words?
An act of love.
Act of love. Best dining experience of your life.
The first one that comes to mind will have to definitely be sitting in a restaurant, having the most incredible meal in a place called Santa Margherita in Liguria in Italy. And we took a boat ride to this incredible little alcove, and there's like 3 of the most amazing restaurants there. So you can only arrive by boat. Only 8 tables, and the chef is outside cooking like under a little like roof, and you see everything he's making and you smell everything he's making. It's unbelievable.
I need to go there, but you just placed me there temporarily. What are 3 songs that describe you?
The first will be Magic by Coldplay. I love Coldplay. A Star Full of Skies is also Coldplay.
Sky Full of
Sky
Stars.
Full of Stars by
Okay.
Coldplay. And the third will be a song that is an Italian song, because I listen to a lot of Italian music, mostly Italian music. And it's called Che Fantastica la Vita by Antonello Venditti. How fantastic life is, basically. And it's just so powerful, this song.
Oh, that sums you up perfectly. It's so perfect. Fill in the blank. Life is.
Life is magic.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I love this question because I was asked it not too long ago by a dear friend. I was on a training with him, and he says, Gabby, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I'm going to ask you what you're going to put on your tombstone. I said, on my tombstone? My gosh, what kind of question is this? And basically it's similar, because it's what your legacy is. It's how you want people to remember you. I said, I want to be remembered by the amount that I gave, and I never held back. And living is really giving.
I was reading this piece on brain pickings this morning about, can't remember the author, but he was aging, and he said that his 80th year was his best year of his life. It gave him the perspective of all of life, the suffering, the ecstasy, the now. And he said that at 80, he felt like he had had intercourse with the world and with life and his experiences. And he really just devoured all of it. And I thought that that was a really beautiful way to think of experiencing life, is having that intercourse with all of it.
All of it. Totally. Totally. And, it's so interesting because sometimes I think in a situation, if you're going through something, is it really going to matter when you're 95 that, whatever it is that you're going through? I mean, you're going to get through it. And then you'll have a story to tell. And how is it that you want to tell that story?
That's good. Last question. Favorite place you've ever traveled?
My heart always goes back to Italy because I think that's really where I belong. But I recently, a couple summers ago, was in Sicily in a place called Noto, Noto, and it is the most magical, beautiful, architecturally stunning place I've ever been to. It's one of the oldest Arabic empires in the world, and so a past empire. And so you could just imagine what the buildings look like and how it's been maintained is just stunning.
I'm going to Italy with you.
Okay, let's go.
We need a girls' trip.
Totally.
Our husbands can take Vespas and scoot around the country.
Totally. And we will find all the best shops and all the best coffee and croissants and everything.
Done, done, done. I love you so much, and you're just such a light and a beautiful soul, and the world is so lucky to have you right now and in this moment.
I'm honored to spend this time with you, really. And to whoever's listening, I love you so much. Just do right.
If you'd like to follow Gaby on social media, her handle is at Gaby Piccirilli. That's GabyPiccirilli.
Vi voglio tanto bene, un bacio, ciao.
In the next episode, I speak with Jalen Jones, owner and founder of Redefining Your Limits. Jalen is a personal trainer, renowned track athlete, and dear friend to both myself and my husband. Jalen and I share about our journeys through body dysmorphia and the redemptive mind, heart, soul, and body resets that helped us recover and find power in the truth. Strength is not a size. Brave Talks is sponsored by Taja Collection Custom Candles. Taja Collection has designed a very special, really beautiful, amazing Be Pretty Brave candle for all of you listeners who want to light up a beautiful message in your home or send it as a gift to those who could use bravery and courage in their lives. You can find the candle on tajacollection.com. That's TAJA collection.com. And you can search for Be Pretty Brave and you'll find the candle there. Brave Talks is produced by Madeleine Inskeep. Video production is by Wallace Cruz. The music is produced by my dear friend Murray Hidary with Mind Travel. A heartfelt thanks to these three who support Brave Talks with their incredible talent and gifts. If you'd like to receive my monthly thoughts and a recap of this month's Brave Talks, head on over to emilynolan.com and click subscribe. Thanks for listening.